For 14 episodes, we observed, stars vanished, coordinates shifted, orbits lost their centers. We recorded everything. But observation has limits. Eventually, someone has to explain it. This is the archive's first theory. The archive was never built to theorize. Its sole purpose was to document, to preserve the records of a universe that might not last. But the pattern of disappearances has grown to consistent, its implications to deliberate. At this point, to continue merely observing without attempting to understand would be an act of profound irresponsibility. The data demands an explanation. Every anomaly was aligned. The disappearances of celestial bodies, the subtle but undeniable grid shifts, the displacement of orbital paths, and the strange persistence of certain objects. When our analysts layered these seemingly disparate events together, they formed something entirely unexpected. It was not the chaos of a system breaking down, it was structure. The universe is not erasing things at random. It removes specific elements with a precision that suggests a purpose. A star disappears, but only after it serves its role in a system. A nebula is gone, but only after its influence has been transferred to a new stellar nursery. A planetary orbit is lost, but only after something else in its system achieves a new, stable configuration. Nothing is lost prematurely. At first, our analysts blamed the most obvious culprits: decay. Theories of entropy acceleration, vacuum instability, and false vacuum collapse were all proposed. But decay is fundamentally indiscriminate, a force of pure randomness that should affect everything equally. This wasn't that. What we are witnessing shows preference. It demonstrates selection. After months of painstaking analysis, the archive isolated the common factor connecting every vanishing event. It was not the stars themselves, nor the planets that orbited them, nor the civilizations that might have called them home. The one constant was reference points. Anything that was used to define position, motion, or history: a landmark star, an ancient pulsar, a gravitational anchor, those disappeared first. Why would the universe systematically erase its own references? Because references lock a structure into place. They freeze relationships, defining what is where and how it moves. And it appears something in the universe no longer wishes to be constrained by its past. The theory begins here. The archive proposes this. The universe is not collapsing. It is restructuring itself. It is methodically removing outdated anchors to allow for a new, more fluid configuration to emerge. We are witnessing a system preparing to change its fundamental state, like water on the verge of freezing or boiling. This leads to a critical question. Why don't the lost objects ever return? The theory suggests it is because they are not destroyed in the way we understand destruction. They are released. Their information is redistributed throughout the cosmic web, their specific role fulfilled. The universe keeps the outcomes of their existence but discards the scaffolding that brought them into being. But if this is a controlled restructuring, a natural process, then why the pervasive sense of fear? Why the instability that ripples through our own sector? Because a restructuring of this magnitude affects everything contained within it. That includes the observers. That includes us. We are not immune to the process we are recording. The most dangerous question was asked quietly in secure data channels. Is this process intentional? The consensus is no, not in the way a living being is conscious. But it is also not blind. The pattern is more like that of a complex system correcting itself after a long deviation from its optimal state, a self-regulating mechanism operating on a scale we can barely comprehend. The Vanishing Star Map itself, our primary tool, is not just a passive recorder of these events. It reacts to them. It resists the changes. It adapts its own coordinate systems. It fights to maintain a coherent picture. This strange behavior suggests it was designed for a universe that was expected to change in exactly this way. The map was built for this crisis. So, where do we fit into this cosmic recalibration? According to the theory, we are not the targets of this process. We are the measurements. We are witnesses placed inside a recalibration event, deemed important enough to be recorded, but perhaps not important enough to be preserved through the transition. This brings us to the most unsettling conclusion of the archive's first theory. If it is correct, the disappearances will continue. They will not stop until nothing remains, but rather until nothing unnecessary does. The universe is being pared down to its most essential form. The archive has labeled this theory as provisional. It is incomplete and, more importantly, it is dangerous. Because to understand a pattern is to interact with it, and in a system this sensitive, that interaction may draw its attention. This is not the truth. It is the first explanation that survives the data. The universe is changing, and now, we finally have a reason.